Imagine you're standing at the edge of a vast, dark canyon. You've tried everything, climbed every rope, searched every crevice, and you're still here, staring into the void. That feeling, that's where many of us find ourselves when hope vanishes. Ever feel like you've hit a wall so high, so thick, that any glimmer of light seems extinguished? That bone-deep sense of hopelessness can be paralyzing. But what if, instead of fighting the darkness, we could learn to flow with it, to find strength within the seemingly empty space? That's what we'll explore today, through the lens of Taoism. So, how does Taoism help us navigate this feeling of utter hopelessness? It begins with understanding two key principles, Wu Wei and Ziran. You'll remember Wu Wei, effortless action. It's not about doing nothing, but about acting in harmony with the natural flow of things. When hope feels lost, Wu Wei suggests we resist the urge to force it back. Instead, we create space, allowing it the possibility to arise organically. Think of a musician struggling with writer's block. Instead of forcing a melody, they might spend time listening to silence, observing the world around them, letting inspiration emerge in its own time. Or consider the incubation period in problem solving. Scientists often find that stepping away from a complex problem allows the subconscious mind to work, leading to that aha moment, a perfect example of Wu Wei in action. Then there's Ziran, naturalness. We've talked about Ziran as authenticity, being true to your own nature. Now, let's expand that to include accepting the natural ebb and flow of all things, including our emotions. Just as there are seasons of growth and seasons of dormancy, there are times of hope and times when it feels scarce. Ziran teaches us to accept this, to see it as part of the natural rhythm. Imagine a spider patiently waiting in its web. It doesn't frantically chase after prey. It trusts in the natural order, allowing sustenance to come to it. A beautiful blend of Ziran and Wu Wei. The Tao Te Ching reminds us, the Tao is like a well, used but never used up. Even in what feels like emptiness, there's an inexhaustible source of potential waiting to be tapped. The key is not to fill the emptiness, but to make space for it. And the question becomes, how does that apply when the feeling of emptiness are all about hopelessness? Let's explore how these Taoist principles actually help us find strength, even when hope feels absent. We'll start with the concept of the seed in the winter ground. This is Ziran in action, applied to the very cycles of life and of hope itself. Consider a seed lying dormant beneath the frozen earth. From the outside, it might appear lifeless, completely devoid of potential. But we know that within that tiny seed lies the blueprint for a vibrant plant, waiting for the right conditions to emerge. The winter, that period of seeming hopelessness, isn't an ending. It's a necessary stage of preparation for the renewal of spring. Think of a blank canvas. A painter doesn't see an empty void, they see a field of infinite possibilities, a space where a masterpiece can be born. The emptiness isn't something to be feared, but something to be embraced. And in our own lives, consider a period of unemployment. It's easy to fall into despair, to see it only as a failure, but what if instead we viewed it as an opportunity? A time for reflection, for developing new skills, for potentially redirecting our path entirely. It's a period of dormancy, perhaps, but not a dead end. It's the winter ground preparing us for a new season of growth. The perspective shifts from the perception of a dead end to recognize this feeling as a preparation period. Next, let's consider the idea of the echo in the cave. This speaks to the power of Wu Wei, of effortless action, and the importance of mindful observation, even in the face of seeming emptiness. Think about the principle of resonance in physics. A small vibration, almost imperceptible on its own, can create a surprisingly large effect, but only when it's aligned with the natural frequency of an object. Similarly, our small internal efforts, our quiet moments of reflection, can lead to significant shifts in our experience of hope if they're aligned with the Tao, with the natural flow. Consider a skilled martial artist. They don't meet force with brute force. Instead, they use their opponent's energy, redirecting it rather than resisting it directly. This is Wu Wei in its most elegant form, working with the existing forces rather than against them. And in our daily lives, this can be as simple as listening to our inner voice, even when, especially when, it's quiet and seems to offer no immediate solutions. The very act of listening, of creating that inner space of awareness, can allow clarity and, eventually, hope to emerge. It's not about forcing answers. It's about creating the conditions for them to arise naturally. The subtle action of listening has a great power. Finally, let's revisit a concept we've explored before, Pu, the uncarved block. This represents our original nature, our inherent potential before it's shaped by external forces. The crucial point here is that even in a state of profound hopelessness, that core potential, that uncarved block within us, remains untouched. Imagine a block of marble. Before the sculptor even touches it, it holds within it the potential for any form: a magnificent statue, a simple bowl, an abstract shape. The possibilities are endless, even if the final form is completely unknown. Think about a career change. Feeling lost or uncertain about your direction doesn't negate your skills, your experiences, your inherent abilities. It simply means you're in the process of reshaping your path, of finding a new way to express that inherent potential. Or consider the chameleon, a master of adaptation. Its appearance might change dramatically to blend with its surroundings, but its fundamental nature, its essence as a chameleon, remains constant. The uncarved block reminds us that our worth, our potential, isn't defined by our current circumstances, by feelings of hopelessness, or by any external measure. It's an inherent quality, always present, waiting to be expressed. No matter how deeply we feel lost, the potential for profound beauty and fulfillment always exists. So, how do we actually do this? How do we build that inner strength when hope seems so far away? Here are some practical ways, grounded in the principles of Wu Wei and Ziran. First, practice mindful listening. Spend 5 minutes each day truly listening to the sounds around you, without judgment, without trying to identify them, just listening. This cultivates inner quiet and openness, creating space for new possibilities to emerge. It could be the hum of your refrigerator, the wind, or even silence itself. Second, practice acceptance of what is. Choose one situation in your life that you're resisting. A difficult relationship, a frustrating task, a setback. For today, consciously accept it as it is, without trying to change it or wish it were different. This is a powerful exercise in letting go of control. Third, engage in a creative activity without a specific goal. Draw, paint, play music, dance, or write, without aiming for a perfect result. Just allow yourself to be in the process, to follow the flow of your creativity. This connects you to the spontaneous, effortless energy of Ziran. Fourth, identify your shoulds. Make a list of the things you tell yourself you should be doing. Then, for each one, ask yourself, is this truly aligned with my nature, or is it an external pressure? Consciously release at least one should today. This is about honoring your Pu, your uncarved block, and living in accordance with Ziran. Fifth, offer silent gratitude. Spend a few moments silently acknowledging the things you're grateful for, even the small things, like a warm cup of tea or a comfortable chair. This shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's present, fostering a sense of connection and appreciation. Finally, ask yourself a guiding question. What feels like the lightest, most natural step I can take right now? Not the biggest, most ambitious step, but the one that requires the least effort, the one that feels most aligned with the present moment. These are practices, not prescriptions. They're about cultivating a way of being, a way of finding strength not in striving, but in allowing. They're about learning to dance with life, even when the music feels somber. So, when hope feels lost, remember the seed waiting beneath the frozen earth, the subtle power of the echo in the cave, the untouched potential of the uncarved block. Taoism teaches us that true strength isn't found in battling the darkness, but in flowing with it, in accepting the seemingly empty spaces, and in trusting the natural unfolding of life. It's less about actively finding hope, and more about creating the conditions that allow hope to arise. But what happens when the darkness doesn't lift? What if you find yourself stuck, unable to move forward, even after trying to embrace the present moment? What if the real source of your hopelessness isn't just this situation, but the weight of the past, the accumulated hurts, the lingering regrets, the constant should-haves that hold you back? This clinging, this powerful attachment to what was, can be a massive roadblock on the path to genuine freedom. It prevents us from fully inhabiting the now, from being open to the new possibilities that life offers. How do we actually loosen that grip? How do we release the past, not just intellectually, but emotionally and spiritually, so we can step into a brighter future? Join us in the next video, where we'll explore the art of letting go of the past, drawing on the profound wisdom of the Tao to find lasting freedom and peace.